following is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
I was manic and I was in the Bay Area, so I started busting dates, and then it just kind of went from there. I didn't By the time I did this, I already had a degree for accounting. So the concept of getting with a man or a pimp and giving him all of my money, that did not make any sense to me business wise. So there was no way that was
Yeah,
motherfucking
that
happening.
was one of my questions, if you had ever dealt with a pimp.
Yeah, I have, but not in the traditional capacity that people might think. There are like all different styles of pimps, and you have like your hardcore traditional
Well
pimps,
aware.
your boyfriend pimps, and then you have like drivers who will drive you to your dates and make sure you're safe, and then you can just kind of pay them a finder's fee. There's all these different things. So I was more in the like driver range, and then I had two separate people who I would have considered pimps, but like it just really didn't work out well. One of them, like, something happened, and if I feel like you're standing in the way of my money, I'm gonna lose my motherfucking shit. I'm generally a cool ass person, but if I feel like you lost me some money, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. I'll never fucking talk to you again. So something happened between the two of us, and I felt like he was in the way of my money. And then he went to steal my car, and I tried to stop him. He had got shot recently, so it wasn't like that hard to tussle with him because he was kind of fucked up. So
Yeah.
he ends up getting it. I get in the car, he gets in the car, he drives off, and he's like, "Bitch, I'm gonna kill you." And I was like, okay. At first, I'm just kind of like, whatever, people say these things. But then as we're driving through Oakland, I'm like, no, I really believe that this motherfucker is gonna try to kill me. So I had hopped out of my car at the light, and when I called the police, they said, "Have you ever slept with this person?" And I said, "Yes, I have." And they said, "Have you ever given them permission to drive your car before?" And I said, "Yes, I have." And they said, "We won't have anything to do with this. This is a domestic dispute, because people give people permission to borrow their car, and then they get in a tiff and they decide that they want to revoke it, and then they want us to get involved, and we don't get involved." So I lost my car to my first pimp, and then my second one had tried to pull me before the first guy, but it didn't work out. But then when we ran back into each other, I was working with him, so he was like, "Okay, you're gonna turn in $100 a day," which is really nothing at that point in my career. He was like, "You're gonna turn in $100 a day, and at the end of the 30 days, we're gonna decide what we're gonna do with the $3,000." And right at the end of the 30 days, it was my 30th birthday, and he ended up going to jail like 2 days right before. And then his cousin showed up at the house I was staying at in Oakland and was like, "He told me to come and get you and keep you safe." And then by the time my dude had like got to call me from jail, he was like, "I didn't tell him to come and get you. Get the fuck away from him." I've had some like really wild things happen, but like I didn't get into this until I was 30 years old. I was strung out on mania. I was behaving as a slut in Oakland, and I ran out of money. And then it was like, okay, now when in Oakland, when in Rome,
So were your mental health issues spawned from something that happened traumatic in childhood, or were they spawned from drug abuse or anything else?
Um, it's hard to say. They could possibly be genetic. Yes, there are theories that it does come from childhood trauma, and I have had a very like traumatic childhood. Um, I recently went through the process of trying to get diagnosed for autism, and it came back that I was not autistic, but I still feel as though I am. And they have this thing called the Lost Girls, which is girls in the 70s, 80s, and 90s who were not diagnosed with autism because the traits look different for them than they do for their male counterparts. And I feel like I am personally one of the lost girls. And I'm still trying to figure that out. People think it's very crazy that I even talk about this. America is an ableist society. So even sharing that I think I might have a condition at all is challenging to some people. So trying to talk to people to like navigate that out. they like, you know, behind my back, they're like, oh, this weird, crazy bitch wants attention so bad that she would say this. Okay, if you think that about me, we probably shouldn't be friends. Let's start there. Second of all, it's a very hard thing to share, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But it's like everything that I read or see about this, I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. And the like personal life journey that I have, that my family was so like bothered by me that they had to put me in a trailer by myself, you know, that ostracizing is very indicative of how people are treated. And it's just hard to talk about, because what I personally think that I have would have traditionally been called Asperger's, but that is kind of it's first of all defunct as a diagnosis, and second of all, that term stems from a doctor who did tests on autistic people during Nazi times to decide which autistic people could work and which autistic people needed to be killed because they couldn't work. So that term has like a lot of other dark notions around it in, you know, the mental health community. So just trying to sort and figure that out, and it's so hard because like in the culture that we live in, or in the adult, it's like, just get the bag, just get the bag, just get the bag, money, money, money. And you know, there's people out here that I see and recognize, and I'm just like, oh hey, you know, I do a lot of research on mental health, and I think this might be going on with you. And when you try to talk to people about that, they just get so like insulted,
Offended.
annoyed, overwhelmed. Yeah, like it's not something